Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 New Order as America. Let us continue on from where we last left off. So, we are currently fighting the war in South Africa. We have a handful now of super heavy tanks. We've got our mechanized division. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling actually really good about our chances in South Africa. As long as our allies can kind of hold the line, we should basically be able to do whatever the hell we want. In Haiti, we're looking good again. I kind of just need to get them out of violence of 5 out of 100. We have no war weariness. We also have no legitimacy, which also does seem bad. Add to air bases. Weariness will decrease considerably. Well, again, we're not weary yet. Violence, American weariness will go down. I think I want something that kind of increases legitimacy, if that's the thing that we can do. But you know, okay, let's commission a Peace Corps mission. We'll get that going. We will then also promote freedom fighters. Sounds like a good time. And we'll get this one going as well. Get all three. Give me the hat trick there. Fantastic. I'm again, like I said, I'm feeling incredibly good. Now, are the heavy tanks going to be what we need them to be? I don't know, but I think they're just kind of fun to have. The stupid, large, stupidly expensive tank that has no real right to exist. I think it's going to be splendid. God, look at the size of this bad boy. America to the rescue. George Ball lifted the sleeve of his suit and checked his watch. Marching through the OFS headquarters was nothing new to him, but the circumstances transformed it into an intimidating structure. Representing the United States is one thing, but he also had to contend with leading the free world into South Africa. It was as if the moon, the stars, and all the planets had fallen on him. The way had nearly broken him, but now was not the time to give up, nor voice his reservation about South Africa. Ball, now with the Security Council, leaned forward into his chair, his hands clasped together as they rested on the round table. The words United States were displayed proudly on a nameplate that hung off at the end of the conversations. United States were displayed proudly on the nameplate that hung off the end as conversations echoed through the chamber. He tapped his foot on the floor, and when the session finally began and cameras trained on him, he drew a deep breath. In many major capitals, there are already signs of deep concern at the present state of the refugee crisis. Ball says into the microphone sternly, "Our joint and sole aim is to secure and maintain a political independence and territorial integrity of South Africa. But," Ball began as he gripped the Washington Post's article, lifting it into the air for all to see, "we must also be willing to assist the people that have experienced the horrors of Nazism directly." Pointing to the photograph of the front page of an African family marching through an exhausting savanna to escape the bloodshed, Ball continued, "Tens of thousands of refugees have already crossed the border, and the number will grow. We must consider a major effort by all of us to deliver economic and humanitarian aid to South Africa." Ball's words were met with approval as the delegation nodded to each other, and when the voting began, they all cast aye without hesitation. No man left behind. So South Africa is going to get some good modifiers here, which I'm happy to see. Take back the skies, or coordinated allied development. See, it allows Canada, Australia, and New Zealand to send troops. We're going to get this one going. That might trigger the AI to actually want to send troops to the area. Okay, let's assist in these pushes. There's actually there's no troops here. What about you? 1,000 defense. Okay, that is a little crazy, I would say. But again, we have our stupidly big tanks, so we're happy to have them. Actually, I was going to say, like, they have 1,000 defense. Never mind. We're actually just fucking baller. We're actually just, like, incredible. A beach outside San Juan. Pablo was born in a farm, as was his father and his grandfather. He was raised to believe that he would be cultivating cocoa and coffee for the majority of his God-given life, alongside all of his friends and cousins. That had been the way of life for his family and his community for generations in Puerto Rico, but even the strongest cycles can break down. Their exports started to slow down, and money was harder to come by, so young people like him had to begin looking for work elsewhere. Luckily, Pablo's family lived not all too far inland, and so was his relative reach to all those lucrative hospitality and tourism jobs along the island's coast. Every morning, he took an hour-long bus ride to La Plata de la Isla Verde to work as a hotel desk clerk. Armed with a 5th grade level command of English and the suit he wore to his sisters, Quinceañera party, Pablo dealt with a legion of tourists from the mainland that descended upon the island in the warm summer months. One morning, a couple clad in bright floral shirts and brown khaki shorts walked through the front door. Hola, senor, the husband greeted him, butchering the simple phrase in such an obscene manner that Pablo could not do anything other than stare blankly at him. I have a reservation under name Johnson. We would like to check in now, he continued. Of course, sir, Pablo responded. Let me just see our ledger book for a moment. As he shot his finger down across the book, he did find a reservation under that name, and with a checkout date scheduled for 10 days later. Very well, then. Here are your keys. Muchas gracias, he said with a steely chill down Pablo's body. He looked at the clock right to him. It's 10:45 in the morning. La hoga por ti, mama. That's probably what I sound like if I ever try to say anything in Spanish. I don't know a single word of Spanish. Other than what might have been on Dora the Explorer when I was a child, I don't know anything. And that's not even including the parts that I've already forgotten, which is most of it. Like, there's not really ever an instance in my life that I use Spanish, right? Like, when am I learned French in school because obviously, you know, I live in Canada, so that's what language you learn. You don't learn Spanish. But even then, I don't know anything. I know, like, single words. Like, I know ham is, like, jambon. But aside from that, I don't know jack shit. The only sentence I think I know in French is, like, je ne parle pas français, which is just, I don't speak French. And I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation on that horrendously. The Red Revolution in Greece? Okay, that's fine by moi. So are they just okay? So they've just gone socialist. Hey, that's the guy from Kaiserreich. Look at him go. He's all over the place. It doesn't look like he's a day older than he is in that than he is in the mod. Japan launches the retaliation invasion of the Philippines. Okay, so that's why we built up their defenses here. So we have the Japanese here. Is there anything we can do about this directly? Imperial Japanese blockade. Our capacity to provide support to the Filipino rebels has been effectively neutered due to the ongoing blockade on the island by the IJN. You can only afford to slip through supplies to our volunteers, and nothing else. Oh, wait, so can I still send the volunteers then? Hey, yes, I can. We can send 3 divisions. So let's send in these 3 bad boys. Congratulations to Dwight. You were going to support these boys. Send the air volunteers as well. And for the Free Filipino Republic, we can send another 3. So we're just going to send whatever 3 guys gets selected here. James, congratulations. We'll send air volunteers and you as well. You guys have fun. And the airfields, who do we have? How many planes can I send? Oh, I can send 3 aircraft? Oh, we're actually popping off. Okay, send not you. Relay that order. Not you. You go to the Midwest. I need somebody. Not tactical missiles, but I appreciate the gumption there. Okay, we have 200. Let's send you here. That's 3 out of 3. And then we have 3 that we can send to you. There's 1, 2, and we'll send you as well. There we go. So we're going to send 600 planes. We are going to send a stupid amount of units there as well. The fall of Bloemfontein, which I think is the capital of the Boer Republic. Perhaps the Boers should have prepared a little bit more for the Civil War they started, and now has design. And that has now degenerated into a proxy war for African supremacy between the Africa Shield and the UFN. Situated very close to the initial front lines of the war, Bloemfontein, capital of the newly established African Revoltstaat, has had little time to prepare. Despite the efforts of the garrison commander, lack of manpower and materials due to poor industrial development of the region meant that only makeshift defenses, mainly a few prefabricated bunkers, trenches, and anti-aircraft batteries scattered throughout the outskirts, could be erected in time for the South African offensive. Despite a fierce offensive, the city's garrison couldn't repel the attackers and was soon forced to retreat inwards. Emergency barricades were built by auxiliaries, and several buildings were booby-trapped or were set on fire to slow down the foe. But in the end, it wasn't enough. After a brief last stand in the town hall, the officer in command of the city agreed to surrender terms offered by the Federation. The civilian regulars were disarmed and allowed to return to their families, while all others were taken prisoner. Even though the government evacuated the city long before the offensive began due to safety reasons, the fall of Bloemfontein is still a hard blow for those of the Boer cause. Morale is falling all throughout the insurgent forces, and many have begun to question their German allies. If this is how the war is turning out to be, then it might not be long before peace returns. We get stability, we get war support, people love us, and we get some more political power. Happy to see it. Okay, South Africa. Anything we can do for the front lines? The answer is no. Okay. But tomorrow, our propaganda funds will be finished. Let's then hold a joint conference with South Africa. I think that seems reasonable. I mean, what is... Okay, what are you then at? Oh god, there's so many civil wars. I just want to see South Africa. It might have scrolled past it. If I was South Africa, there it is. Nope, that's against the ANC. They are at 80%. Do they have like a debuff? Fight for homes. Uncle Sam's arrived. Surprise attack. That's going to expire on the 13th. So we got like a month until that's finished. So we have time. Let's send our heavy tanks in here. Get some good damage. Move you to Bloemfontein. Escape. It had been a good run early this morning. His Douglas A-26 had dived low, loosening its payload over the Indonesian patrol boats. When the accompanying escort ship opened fire, he circled back and straight to deck with machine gun fire. Blood pooled and dripped down the bullet holes, stark against the gunmetal gray. It was a successful sortie. The invader was a sweet, deadly ride. On his way back, however, his gunner reported that the bandit was on their tail. Fast. Shit. He said under his breath, "How did these bastards get their hands on one of those anyway?" The gunner gave the unseen shrug. 4 of the autocannons were let loose, running a rhythm of calamity. "Get back to your station," he hissed. He dove low again, onto the vast expanse of green and blue below. Gunfire and ordnance tore through the fuselage, machine guns joining the autocannon thump in the chorus of explosions. A scream echoed behind them through the craft. Then, stillness. All he could do is hear were the twin engines, rasping on as it on the run. He could feel the heat rising in the cockpit, sweat lathering his cocktails, faint crackling of the fire. A second later, as if on cue, the autocannons began again. They tore loose a port wing on the plane, and he began to fall, down towards the vast azure expanse below. The sun was a golden disc, borne aloft amid the cresting, rising waves. Goddamn it all. He strapped the parachute and jumped out. As the land got closer, he popped the chute and set adrift into the air, waiting for the terminal velocity to do its work. He aimed for the clearing near beach below, missing it by a few yards. Before he hit the ground, palm trees snagged the suspension lines of his parachute, stranding him a few feet above the ground. Once he cut himself free, he landed with a crack on his right leg. He screamed, he tried standing once, he felt better, and fell on his face. He sat up, taking a deep breath. His hands felt his side holster empty. When they came for him, they asked for his name. He spat. "What is it to you?" he said, glaring. "Do it. End it already." A swift blow to the temple was what he received. Verdict. So hawkishness, I'm surprised the hawkishness is still like so low. Like the fact that we've already taken the capital is kind of crazy. Do you think my beautiful little armored car here? How fast does this man move? He moves at 9.7 kilometers an hour. Do you think he can bum rush all the victory points and then just go like bing bada boom to Pretoria and then to Petersburg and then over to whatever the hell this is? By God, we gotta try. Let's go. Ah, shit. We've immediately countered resistance. Ciphers. Let's break, Ost Africa ciphers. We'll try them first. Okay, the plan didn't work as well as I was hoping. But how much are you worth? You're worth 10 victory points? Okay, we've gotten to Bloemfontein in time that we didn't get trapped, which is good. I didn't want to lose Bloemfontein. But it's looking pretty nice. Where are you going? I think you're going to this province, which I don't want you to do for obvious reasons. And for our tanks, I really just want you to be in this weird little corridor that I've kind of created for us. You are a ANC city, so you're not as important. Yo, that's a hostage crisis. I don't really care about that. There's our volunteer forces. They defeated the socialists. We just got there. Oh, are you actually just, like, stuck? No, they're actually still technically fighting. I think they capitulate on the exact same day, so I don't know how this works. Okay, move you to the side for a second just so I can get these guys down to here. All of our aircraft, please begin the bombing campaigns. And... yeah, you're here. Did they just die, or did they go... I think they just died. I think they actually technically just got stack wiped because they're, like, a little strange, but that's okay. The White House siege. Nothing Nixon did in the White House allowed him to escape the never-ending picketing of protesters outside. Even when he blasted classical music in the Oval Office at the loudest volume possible, it still could not drown out the yelling and marching of demonstrators. At night, muffled chanting kept it awake, his eyes strained as he stared at the Lincoln's bedroom ceiling. He had had enough. Nixon sat alone in the darkness of the Oval Office. He stared at the briefing in front of him. His fist clenched as they rested on the Resolute desk. He concentrated with all of his attention on the words printed on the paper. The noise had nearly faded into the background before Haldeman stepped into the room, and everything Nixon tried to forget rushed back in front of his mind. Haldeman stared at Nixon for a moment, choosing his words carefully. They were protesting the war, sir. Even as Haldeman spoke at the most soothing voice, it could not stop Nixon from taking it personally, processing the words as fury emerged behind his eyes. Nixon stood up in disbelief before sending a stack of papers flying across the room. Bullshit! Nixon exploded as any restraint he might have had vanished. They're protesting a goddamn war against Nazis? Haldeman opened his mouth to answer, despite knowing the question was rhetorical. He couldn't get a word out before Nixon continued to seethe. What the hell is the matter with these bastards? I mean, are they out of their goddamn minds? Haldeman interjected, quickly correcting himself. No, sir, they're demonstrating in favor of the war. They want you to escalate it. Nixon subdued himself, standing like a deer in headlines, collapsing into his chair. He rested his chin in his hands as curiosity washed over him. Maybe they were right. Tell Salford I want to make a speech. Civilians going to go down, Hawkins is going to go up, become a little more interventionalist. That is good news for us. I think our units just died for no reason. That's so fucking stupid, but that's okay. 2 units here. Let's move our tanks forward. Move you to this direction. Hey, we got the 1960 nuclear tech. So it's almost 65. So you might have some more industry techs available. So let's go get those guys moving along. Okay, once again, it's time to victory point rush. Let's go, boys. Mato's wild ride. It was a cold and dreary January morning in Mexico City, and Governor Romney led the best American automakers. His simple goal was to talk with Mexican businessmen and politicians alike in the automobile convention. Or it was simple enough until the Mexican president appeared. But Romney didn't cower in such cases. He attacked. Mr. President, it was a pleasure to see you again, Romney declared warmly, as though their meeting in the Olympic Committee had been pleasant. I apologize for all that I said last time. It was never my intention to insult this beautiful city. Governor Romney, Matos greeted with the slightest of a raised brow. He had thought that the governor would have slithered into the crowd instead of facing him head on. Regardless, it was hard to remain mad at the man, in no small part because he didn't know what most of the shouting at last time ever even meant. It also helped that today's translator was a new one. Please, there's no need to apologize so much. I understand. Sometimes tensions run high in such places. I myself could feel like a vein about to burst while in the committee. Hopefully Mexico City is more relaxing. It has been a splendid visit so far, and I can only hope that it gets even better in the coming days. Romney said before their conversation was interrupted by a Mexican man who had no interest in him at all. He was whispering something to Matos before vanishing into the next second. I have an idea for that. I just learned that Chrysler bought a car that can run on tequila. Would you like to see it with me? Matos asked with a contentious smile. Doesn't sound like a bad idea at all. Was all Romney had to say before the pair made a beeline for the car. The wonders of the automobile. I don't know why you would need a car that runs on tequila, but you know what? Maybe there's something I'm missing. They hauled him onto the stretcher to the local jail, hands cuffed above his torso. There, an army doctor took a look at his broken leg and set the splint on him. No cast. They gave him a crush before walking him to his cell. When the bar slammed shut, he took a stock of his surroundings. A bucket, a wooden bed folded into the wall, and a small barred window on his back. Chains rattled as he lowered his bedding. He sat on it inside, looking towards the stilted blue sky. He refused to tell them his name, not that it mattered much. His dog tag spoke for him when his mouth couldn't. The mood around the military prison was morose and hostile. He surmised that much between the debates in her interrogation rooms, emotions whose signals were gestures, punctured by halting, aggressive English. After a week, the interrogation sessions receded. One morning, a warden and his band of guards entered the room. He stood at attention, leaning against his crutch. For the first time, he saw them in a merry mood. "Mr. Alan Pope," the warden said, smirking, "you're going to court." They invited him with legal counsel and an interpreter. After a week of exposition, they brought him before the judge. In 3 sweltering days, they could work out his verdict. He stood, sweating profusely in a cotton shirt they had given him, as the judge pronounced in a strange language of the place his sentence was to be served. "I'm sorry," the interpreter said, looking at the eye before withdrawing, as if shy. "The court finds you guilty of crimes against the Indonesian people, and therefore sees it fit to sentence you to death by hanging." But I will say with that, it's going to be a good time for us to end off this episode, so if you enjoyed, run a thumbs up. Not enjoying, always thumb down. Before this, let me just get stealth integration. Hell yeah. I'll see you next time, and goodbye.